What's burning? What's burning? What's burning with KB?
It's time for What's Burnin' with Kevin KB Burns, presented by Bill Lacasse and SRG Financial Advisors. But first, please join us as we honor our great nation with the playing of our national anthem. And now your host, Kevin KB Burns.
Hey, welcome in. It is What's Burnin' here on Lake TV, man. Another great episode coming your way today, and we want to thank all of our great sponsors, man. We can't do it without sponsors. Maybe you'd like to be a sponsor, and I can tell you how to do that if you want to go to kb@mylaketv.com. But our thanks to our sponsors, of course, SRG Financial Advisors, the good folks at Budget Blinds, Ozarks Barge and Dock, our veterinary at the lake, and the official bottled water of What's Burnin' from the good folks at Culligan, Lake of the Ozarks. And man, have we got a great show lined up for you today. Our good buddy, speaking of SRG Financial Advisors, Bill Lacasse will be in the chair next to me here shortly, talking about Russia, Ukraine, and how that could affect things down the road. We'll get to part 2 of our series with Bill Mulder on the trail, along with Professor Jim Paisley out at St. Patrick's Church. We've got the folks from the Civil Air Patrol on the program. And yes, KB's furry friends with kind of an interesting addition. We'll tell you more about that. It's all coming up. Don't go anywhere. Keep it tuned right here to What's Burnin' on Lake TV.
While the financial services industry for years has focused on products, pricing, and performance, or things we refer to at SRG as the how, our focus for our clients has always been around their why. And without fail, over all these years, those whys have centered around family, occupation, and recreation. Think legacy issues, retirement, or achieving a work-optional lifestyle, and checking off those important things on that recreational bucket list. Our foundational approach remains a focus on the things that matter most to our clients and the things that together we can control. And where those two things overlap, that's where we live and work every day. That's SRG Financial and the Mile Marker Formula.
You want a dock that will withstand the wake from a million boats? Want a dock that's different from the usual dock? Then you want Ozarks Barge and Dock in Gravois Mills. Ozarks Barge and Dock, now celebrating 33 years of building the best dock on Lake of the Ozarks. And we guarantee every dock we build. So when it comes time to build your custom dock, trust the best and go with Ozarks Barge and Dock, building the best dock at the lake for the last 33 years.
Looking for blinds, shades, shutters, drapes, or bedroom makeovers? On a budget? You need Budget Blinds in Laurie. Bring your ideas to us, or let our design consultants help you create the perfect look for your home. Because Budget Blinds is nationwide, our collective buying power enables us to search many major brands to bring you the blinds, shades, shutters, and drapes you want for less. Budget Blinds. Call us for a free consultation. Budget Blinds, the best in custom blinds and window coverings.
It was a Saturday. Chris was a good dad. His water practices, not so much. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Culligan. Got a water pitcher for the fam. Pretty safe, huh?
Well, basic water pitchers are passable, whereas a Culligan reverse osmosis system can reduce lead, arsenic, pesticide runoff.
You realize these have filters?
Chris, pour it out.
It's not going fast enough. Just done with that.
When your water's right, so is your world. I wrote that!
Hey, welcome back to What's Burnin', and a quick shout out to everybody at Culligan Lake in the Ozarks for supplying us with this wonderful bottled water. They are the official bottled water of What's Burnin' here at Lake TV, and they can help you out as well. Give them a call, 573-346-5221. To my left, the one and only Mr. Bill Lacasse.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Our title sponsor of What's Burnin' as well, and there's a lot going on in the world that we need to know about, especially I think that's one of the interesting things. We focus a lot on what's going on here. We're still talking about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock and who really cares. We need to be focusing on important things like what's going on between Russia and Ukraine right now.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you know, it's funny. You wouldn't think that a financial advisor needs to get too worried about what's going on in Russia, but unfortunately, whenever you have geopolitical events that spill over into other countries, starting wars, things like that, you know, it's something we have to talk about. And, you know, here's something that you don't really think about this, but in our lifetime, this is the first time we have had a war in Europe. You know, this is very reminiscent of what was happening before World War II started. You know, when the United States was like, yeah, I don't know that we want to get involved. We want to kind of stay back. Don't do that. You should behave. All of those kinds of things. But we're doing a lot of that same type of appeasement right now. Everybody's afraid that, you know, where does it go from here? Does Russia stop at Ukraine if they actually are able to take Ukraine? But it has ramifications that the world needs to be prepared for. Right. And some of the things that I'm reading, some of the statistics, the demographics, the outlook for food is kind of an issue. Yeah. You know, now nobody really thinks about the fact that Russia is the #1 exporter of wheat in the world. And the Ukraine, they bounce between 3 and 5. They're either the #3 or the #5 exporter of wheat on a regular basis. Well, we have a problem in that Ukraine didn't actually even get a crop in this year. They're not going to have a crop of any type. And Russia has a real problem all of a sudden being able to ship their wheat out during a conflict like what they're having over there right now. Number one, you can't get insurance on any exports out of that country. So they're looking at if they take a boatload of grain out, it may get sunk by one of the NATO nations that is going to watch them try to export this. So that's probably not going to happen. There's not going to be any exportation of that type of wheat. It's all going to have to go by rail. All the rail goes to China. The problem with this is what happens is that this is going to be not just a wheat shortage, but you know, fertilizer comes out of that part of the world, which is going to keep the ability to people that have got semi-arid soil, semi-good soil to be able to grow in. They're not going to be able to grow anything because they're not going to have any fertilizer to be able to make that happen. There is a huge, big indication that within the next 18 months, we could see up to 2 billion people in the world starving, not having enough to eat. We have never experienced that in our lifetime.
Especially when you're talking about 2 billion, billion with a B.
Billion with a B, yes. You know, it's, you know, there's maybe 8 billion people in the world, so that means 6 billion are getting fed, 2 billion are not. Now, the good news here, if you want to say that good news, the United States has got something that the rest of the world does not have. Actually, they have 3 things. They have lots of food. We have lots of energy all of a sudden, which is a wonderful thing for us. And we have the demographics. The millennials, the children of the baby boomers, are going to kind of help prop up our economy and the growth of our GDP as the years go by. Where Russia, China, even the Ukraine, you can just start pointing at just about anybody in that part of the world. The majority of their population is over the age of 50. In some cases, as much as 60 or 70%. That's a big deal.
Yes, it is.
Those are things that, as we're kind of watching what's going on over there, it is going to spill over to us. So now, once again, that brings us back to a local thing here where we start looking and say, well, what does that have to do with me? We're seeing a time when we might see things like interest rates have a spike. We're going to see inflation in a lot of different areas, not just because it's mostly to do with the fact that you can't get a lot of things that people want right now. I mean, we've been talking about inflation over the last, year,
right.
about how it's been affecting everything. We were all hoping that this was going to be short-term inflation. There's too much other things that are going on right now that is going to make inflation be a long-term issue. It's not going to be something that's just going to go away. So we're going to have plenty to eat, we're going to have plenty of energy, and we're going to have a country that we may be able to actually excel through a lot of what's going on. We're going to see a whole bunch of the world having big problems as we're going forward. It's a lot to kind of try to figure out. It's a lot to try to stomach. It's a lot to try to figure out, how do you deal with this?
And I wonder, though, if we won't be called upon by organizations like the United Nations to step in and help out other parts of the world, which I think the United States would do anyway. We're
Absolutely.
always that country that when there's an issue or a problem, we're one of the first ones on the scene to help out in any way, shape, or form. The question here is, we'll have all of these things available, the food, the energy. Are we going to be seeing more of an increase? Certainly, when we're there at the cash register paying for it.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
I think that, that's just one of the factors that's going to make things go up. I mean, we have a labor shortage.
Mm-hmm.
We have, you can just look around, there's just a number of things that are missing from the equation all of a sudden, and it looks like we're going to have a labor shortage for maybe the next 2 generations, which is going to be good news for employees.
Yeah.
Employees that are, if you're a good employee and you're working hard, you're probably going to be able to name your salary in the years as we're going forward.
Let's hope that happens. If folks have questions or they need more information or they just like to sit down with you and have a free consult, 573-302-7212, or they can get a hold of you online and check out that great mile marker theory. And all of this is coming together, and I'm really excited about it because we're going to have an opportunity to talk more about that.
Yes, we are.
Online where?
About the next maybe 3 to 5 weeks, we'll have everything up and ready. So.
Email address?
It is srgfinancialadvisors.com.
Very good.
Yes.
Always a pleasure, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Our title sponsor, SRG Financial Advisors, Bill Lacasse, and we're back with more on What's Burnin' here on Lake TV.
While the financial services industry for years has focused on products, pricing, and performance, or things we refer to at SRG as the how, our focus for our clients has always been around their why. And without fail, over all these years, those whys have centered around family, occupation, and recreation. Think legacy issues, retirement, or achieving a work optional lifestyle, and checking off those important things on that recreational bucket list. Our foundational approach remains a focus on the things that matter most to our clients and the things that together we can control. And where those 2 things overlap, that's where we live and work every day. That's SRG Financial and the Mile Marker Formula.
You want a dock that will withstand the wake from a million boats? Want a dock that's different from the usual dock? Then you want Ozark Barge and Dock in Gravois Mills. Ozark Barge and Dock, now celebrating 33 years of building the best dock on Lake of the Ozarks. And we guarantee every dock we build. So when it comes time to build your custom dock, trust the best and go with Ozark Barge and Dock, building the best dock at the lake for the last 33 years.
Your furry friends are more than pets, they're family. And at our veterinary, we understand that. With multiple locations, we can service your pets when and where you need it. Our team of professionals offers routine wellness, orthopedic care from broken bones to joint repair, and even emergency services. We are ready to welcome your pet to our family with medical or preventative care. With multiple convenient locations, our veterinary is the team providing exceptional care for your pet when and where you need it.
Looking for blinds, shades, shutters, drapes, or bedroom makeovers? On a budget? You need Budget Blinds in Laurie. Bring your ideas to us, or let our design consultants help you create the perfect look for your home. Because Budget Blinds is nationwide, our collective buying power enables us to search many major brands to bring you the blinds, shades, shutters, and drapes you want for less. Budget Blinds. Call us for a free consultation. Budget Blinds, the best in custom blinds and window coverings.
Join Lake TV for a cup of coffee with Will and Chris, the Lake area's only local TV talk show focused on the Lake area. Local stories, local sports, and local events. Have a cup of coffee with Will and Chris weekdays at 8, 1, and 8 on Lake TV.
Here in the St. Patrick's Cemetery, of course, behind us is St. Patrick's Church. Bill Mulder, Jim Paisley, and Jim, it looks like we have come across one of your family members.
Sure have. This is a tombstone of my great-great-grandfather, Josiah Riffle, born in 1815, lived to 1895, 80 years old, which was something back then.
Yeah,
a very old age.
Yes, and like I say, he came here from Pennsylvania when he was 51 and brought my great-grandfather, Peter, with him. He was 16 at the time. Now, here lies Josiah and his wife, Teresa. Now, Peter, his son, my great-grandfather, he had a farm. And the farm that he set up was down here in Mill Creek. And Peter established that farm in 1876. So he was 26 years old at the time. He got married, set up this farm. And like I say, he had a family of 9 kids, my grandfather being the only boy, and 8 girls. So yeah, this is
Never saw the inside of his own bathroom.
That's right, exactly. Can you imagine? And wouldn't that have been something back then to, and the kids back then, I'm sure, all worked the farm.
Oh yeah, of course.
So that had to be fascinating. Just the 9 kids and Peter and his wife, trying to scratch out a living out here down in the bottoms down here. And bear in mind, folks, there wasn't any lake, there wasn't anything here. So you got to hand it to these folks. I mean, some pretty tough individuals. And like I say, to live to be 80 years old back then, that was one tough old boy, I think.
Yeah, and really the things that they endured were amazing. You started work before daylight. You got up, got going, including the girls. There was no such thing as woman's work.
Yeah.
Everybody was chipping in. And when I was looking at Josiah, what all he did, he was involved in a lumber mill.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a tough job. And that's running those big old logs through the mill every day. And there wasn't all the fancy mechanical stuff to flip the logs with. That was all by hand and probably a cant hook. And they're flipping it, getting the dimension lumber put out, and then pulling those big old boards off of that sawmill and stacking them. So just a ton of hard work. Not to mention, they probably had farm animals that had to be tended. I'm sure they had crops. So there was always something to do. And again, the girls were working just as hard as the boys were. And as far as the bathroom goes, it was that little house outside.
Out back, yeah.
And except for the boy, it was the third tree to the left.
Yeah.
With a pile of corn cobs next to it.
Yes.
And you think about it, I would imagine a big part of their time was cutting wood. It's cool out here today. And can you imagine what you had to do to heat a clapboard farmhouse down in one of these hollows? You all have seen how cold it gets here in Missouri in January and February, especially in this area right here. That had to be something else.
And probably there might have been some cloth used to insulate around the bottom of the house, but there was no insulation.
I was just going to ask you that. That was my next question for you. Yeah,
it was boards onto a frame, and there you go.
You didn't stick any hay in there?
They might have.
Little mud,
but mainly it was just that board. That was it.
Well, but here, of course, I don't think the mud packs quite as well because most of what we're standing on is clay. And so once that stuff gets wet, unless there's a way to keep it from coming out of the cracks.
Yeah, but we're up on top of a ridge, so we have a whole different soil profile up here than you would have had down in Riffletown or Gladstone.
Okay.
That was a thicker mud that was deposited as the Gravois Creek come down and brought dirt down with it.
Right.
So he would have had good mud to work with down there.
And that's another thing we were going to talk about. You mentioned watching the farm flood. And I asked Bill earlier, I said, well, what were some of the primary crops that these people lived on and sold to make money? And I think it's what most people would expect.
Yeah, you have potatoes, turnips, cabbages, lettuce, things that corn, things that you're going to be able to use throughout the year. You do have some crops that are only good seasonally, but you wanted to grow stuff that you could have later on in the year. And then, of course, there was canning. There was other types of preservation. You know, I guarantee you, being the heavy German settlement that there was in this area, there was sauerkraut in jars everywhere.
Awesome.
Yes. And then you, of course, had pork, a few cattle, but they were mainly used not for the meat, but for the milk and the butter.
Right.
Because the preferred protein was hogs.
Yeah.
You had deer, you had turkey. Now, it would not have been in Josiah's time, but there may have been bison that they could have shot in this area.
Yeah.
So there was all kinds of different things if you knew how to work it, and they did. And the reason they did, because they didn't want to starve. They figured it out. And I'm sure that they had some interaction with the local Osage people saying, well, this is how you do this, and this is how you do that. So, you know, all of that interaction made a big difference, and people were able to survive pretty well, actually. Now, did they live to a ripe old age? Josiah would have been ancient.
Yeah.
He really would have.
Right.
But no, 50s, 60s was very old.
Right.
And if you look at pictures of folks from that era, you can see the age in their face. And that's from the hard work that they were having to do.
Well, and no, oil of Olay for the ladies and things like that, and no kind of lotion for the men either. So you went out, you worked a hard day. I guess maybe you were just happy, maybe at the end of the day or the end of the week, to get a nice hot bath.
Well, yeah, and that usually meant that there was one bathtub that was filled, and usually the youngest in the family got the last bath.
Which is where the term came from, throwing the baby out with the bath water. Because by the time they put the baby in there, the water was so dirty, you could turn around and lose them and throw it all out, So, yeah, it is fascinating. Another thing you were talking about is stockpiling the food. I know the family, my grandparents and their parents were very much into having a root cellar.
Yes, sir.
They would store things in what they called a root cellar, and they had all the canned goods and everything. And everybody in the family back then knew how to do that. It was something that they passed down through the family. And, that's pretty fascinating if you get a chance to look at how people preserved food back then, utilizing salt and canning. Pretty fascinating because, like you said, when fall came, you better be set for the rest of the winter because there's not going to be any opportunity.
And they would use straw out of their fields and hay, put a layer of hay down, then let's say corn, another layer of hay, another layer of corn, and stack it like that, and it would keep. The same way with the turnips, and the same way with different vegetables and potatoes. And as I was growing up, my granddad was born in the late 1800s, and he was very much, that's the way he worked things. So we had the corn crib, you would find the potatoes in there under the straw, and that's how we had our food throughout the winter.
And basically, how does that work? You take the corn, you take the hay, and what does that do? How does that help preserve the food?
It's an insulation layer.
Okay.
And the corn doesn't turn bad. Now, as I've got older, I figured out what my granddad give us to eat as corn was probably feed corn for cattle.
Yeah.
But, corn is corn in his book, and it was still good. And it's the corn today, the corn you get in your grocery store certainly isn't the corn that you would have seen even back in the 1930s and 40s here.
Right.
It's been very heavily reproduced and genetically altered. So it's a different corn altogether from those days. The kernels are bigger, they're more plump and more full of water than the old corn, which is a little bit less.
We see Mr. Riffle here, and we know the history, but then as we walk through and look at some of the other headstones, we see some other names that are notable here as well.
Yes, we do. And right over here is Mr. Johnson, and that's the fella that donated this piece of property. And it says on his tombstone, very proud of it, they were born in Ireland.
Really?
So he's very proud of his Irish ancestry.
And why not?
And why not?
Yeah. Well, and if you look at the layout here, you can kind of tell where the cemetery started and how it's grown out. And of course, you notice a lot of names that you see on businesses and billboards and in various publications around the lake area. And what a testament to people that moved here and struggled the way they had to struggle in order to survive. And everything that they created, including this church, is a testament, as I said, to their ability and they're never give up, never give in kind of spirit, because you couldn't.
Right.
What are you going to do? Where are you going to go?
Right.
It's not like you can hop in the car, drive to the airport, and go someplace else, or rent a U-Haul, pack all your stuff up, and move. You're here for the duration. We've talked about the church. We've talked about the history that is here. Jim Paisley's family traced all the way back to this particular area. We've talked a little bit about the upbringing. Let's talk about this church and the stone, the actual stone that we have here, which came from way the heck down there.
Down over the hill behind us, behind the church, down from an old quarry.
And so we talked about the fact that they use an ox to haul that stone up.
Yep.
An undertaking like this, just by looking at the building, how long do you think something like this would take in order to get the roof on and get people in here?
They did this in months.
Yeah?
They wanted their church put up. So it was a joint effort. Like I said, there was a guy from Scotland involved in it.
Right.
Johnston, Riffles, everybody. It was a community effort because this was a big thing for them. This was a proud edifice, a cornerstone of, we got a church.
Right.
The rest of you people don't.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there was this saying, well, look at our beautiful church. It's tall, it's big. It's not like the Baptists over there that have this little tiny wood church.
Right.
So I'm sure there was a little bit of back and forth on it. And it is a grand building and has glass in it. Now, one of the interesting things that happened as the church grew and people started attending more and more and people were coming in, they run out of room inside. So the way they fixed that was to open the windows so the people standing around outside the church could hear the sermon.
Right.
The first part of this church had no floor. It was a dirt floor, so they have cleared it down, went in and packed it, made it solid, real hard dirt. And then they had what they call a punch and log seat, which is basically taking the tree, splitting the tree, and then getting the seat part of it, the flat part, good enough where you could sit on it. And they would do that with adze, which is a kind of an axe, or maybe an old splitting axe that they used to split logs with. And then they just put some pegs in the bottom of the round part. There you had it. Wow. And then later on, a guy from Kansas City in the 1850s donated the pews that are in there today. And this church has been, by the Knights of Columbus, not that many years ago, they went in and redid the church. It was getting in pretty poor condition. And they've actually got it back in very, very nice condition. The living quarters actually has a small museum in it with some of the old vestments from the priest. So they've done a good job to preserve this piece of history. If you want to know more about this church, contact the Shrine of St. Patrick just to the north edge of Laurie. I think you can visit inside the church, but those would be the folks you want to talk to. And you know how much it costs to come here and look around the grounds?
Not much.
Absolutely nothing.
Right.
That's one of the things.
Maybe a small donation to the church or something.
They would appreciate it, I'm sure.
Yes.
Upkeep. But that's a lot of the things that we do talk about in On the Trail. These are places you can go for free and visit it and enjoy it and not cost you a dime.
Now I was going to say, this is probably something where both of you can chime in. You can tell a certain era based on the type of construction that they did and the various methods that they used to build this church. We talked about the uniqueness of the windows, and that's not the typical way that we do windows now.
No, not even close. These are molten glass, and it's poured in a mold, and they polish it down. And it may or may not show up on camera, but you can actually see the wave in it. It's called isinglass.
Yeah.
And if you look at the stone, you can see the carving on it where they broke it with hammers. And this window ledge right here, you can really see where they worked at, and you can see where the drill bit that they would have hand drilled down through it went.
One of the things I found interesting too, I did some research on some of the other churches in Missouri up around Westphalia, and churches in Scottish seem to be the great stonemasons.
Yes.
I think even Ha Tonkin, right?
Yep.
But what I found fascinating, when you look at the size of some of these stones, one of the things I found interesting is that in the old days, in the quarries, they would actually drive a bit down on four corners of the face of the rock, and they would drive a wooden oak peg into it and then soak it with water. and it was literally the expansion of the wood that would pop the stone free, which to me, again, look how many stones are here.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the work that just went into producing the stone and then load it up, haul it here, and then turn around and build a church out of it? It's fascinating.
Well, and something else they had to be careful about, 'cause this is limestone. Limestone can be a little bit persnickety.
Yeah.
It wants to fracture, it wants to crumble. So they had to have a bit of a knowledge and a bit of craftsmanship to be able to get the blocks they wanted. And you can see there's all kinds of different sizes and shapes in it. So they worked pretty hard to get all this done.
Trying to hoist up these headers over these windows. That they didn't have a forklift to do that.
Yeah.
That's when you want a guy the size of KB there.
That's exactly right. That's
Sure.
exactly right.
In case it falls, I break its fall, and they don't have to go. They don't have to go make a new one.
That's exactly right.
You stand right there. If it falls, get under it.
Tell me KB didn't drop that after we got it all the way up here, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and it's very unique when you take a look at this, all different sizes and shapes. And then you're able, it's not like bricks where they're uniform and you can lay brick on top of brick on top of brick. It's more of a situation where we have to, it's like a puzzle that you don't have the box to look at.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have to come up with the pieces that fit in to make this whole thing. Because if you look, all these windows are basically evenly spaced. And you look at, the frame for the window. And so that all had to be just so in order for that to get in there. And then after you get the window in, if there's any additional settling, do you wait before you put the windows in to make sure everything's in place? This is again, ingenuity and what do they say? Desperate times call for desperate measures.
You bet.
And I bet if we didn't have the sidewalk obstructing it, you could see the foundation going down into the dirt away.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's probably a trench foundation with stones laid and tamped down very hard, which would offset a little bit of that settling, but not a ton.
Well, here comes the use of your ox again to kind of get the trenches started. And then you do it with good old-fashioned manpower, a little back-breaking digging.
Yes, sir.
Where you have to go through all of that clay, all of that stone that's already in the soil to make room for all of this. I mean, this is just, again, a magnificent structure when you think about all the people involved and you think about all the things that these people just had to know on their own. I mean, there's no book, there's no blueprints. It's basically, we have an idea, we have a vision, now let's go make it happen.
Well, the thing that fascinates me about this structure, and I've known of it for years, is the drive and the motivation by the people to do this.
Right.
This was not a slight undertaking. They really had a burning desire to get this done.
Yeah.
And it was all started by 7 people, 7 members of the Osage tribe, taking that long, long journey up to Florissant to get the wheels rolling.
It's amazing.
It's very amazing when you think about it. The fact that these people were so bound and determined to have something like this here, somebody coming from as far away as Pennsylvania to the middle of nowhere in Missouri, and starting a community, building a church, and then basically kind of setting us up for a lot of the folks that exist here to this day.
Exactly.
Gentlemen, I want to thank both of you, Bill Mulder, Jim Paisley. Thank you, sir. Appreciate the opportunity
Pleasure
for the
as
history.
always.
Thank you for kind of giving us a little window into your family and the life that they helped create here at the Lake of the Ozarks.
Well, thank you both.
Another just great opportunity to learn more about what's going on here at the Lake of the Ozarks with On the Trail. We hope that you'll stick with us and continue to watch. This is such a great series, and we've got so much more to offer right here on Lake TV.
While the financial services industry for years has focused on products, pricing, and performance, or things we refer to at SRG as the how, our focus for our clients has always been around their why. And without fail, over all these years, those whys have centered around family, occupation, and recreation. Think legacy issues, retirement, or achieving a work-optional lifestyle, and checking off those important things on that recreational bucket list. Our foundational approach remains a focus on the things that matter most to our clients and the things that together we can control. And where those two things overlap, that's where we live and work every day. That's SRG Financial and the Mile Marker Formula.
You Want a dock that will withstand the wake from a million boats? Want a dock that's different from the usual dock? Then you want Ozark Barge and Dock in Gravois Mills. Ozark Barge and Dock, now celebrating 33 years of building the best dock on Lake of the Ozarks. And we guarantee every dock we build. So when it comes time to build your custom dock, trust the best and go with Ozark Barge and Dock, building the best dock at the lake for the last 33 years.
Looking for blinds, shades, shutters, drapes, or bedroom makeovers? On a budget? You need Budget Blinds in Laurie. Bring your ideas to us, or let our design consultants help you create the perfect look for your home. Because Budget Blinds is nationwide, our collective buying power enables us to search many major brands to bring you the blinds, shades, shutters, and drapes you want for less. Budget Blinds. Call us for a free consultation. Budget Blinds, the best in custom blinds and window coverings.
Your furry friends are more than pets, they're family. And at our veterinary, we understand that. With multiple locations, we can service your pets when and where you need it. Our team of professionals offers routine wellness, orthopedic care from broken bones to joint repair, and even emergency services. We are ready to welcome your pet to our family with medical or preventative care. With multiple convenient locations, our veterinary is the team providing exceptional care for your pet when and where you need it.
There's a new radio station at the lake, a radio station that's geared towards the community, a radio station where you can have a hand in what we do. Welcome to Key Radio, a community-based radio station that invites you to be a part of the solution. We encourage you to become a content creator. That's right, you provide the content. Listen in at 89.3 or online at keyradio.live. To find out more about becoming a content creator, call 573-280-0532.
Hey, welcome back into What's Burning here on Lake TV, and always great to be with you. And we like to scour the countryside and find folks that are doing cool things, talk about it here on the show. That's what it is all about. What's burning? What's going on at the lake and in and around our area? So we have Ariana Dieterding, and we also have the Squadron Commander Jason Smallfield from the Civil Air Patrol. Thanks for being a part of the show. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So obviously, first and foremost, what is the Civil Air Patrol all about?
Long story short, we're the official auxiliary of the United States Air Force.
Wow.
Been in existence since 1st of December 1941, so we just celebrated Don't Do Math in Public. About 81 years.
Right on.
With the Lake of the Ozarks Regional Composite Squadron, we've been around since 2014. 3 primary missions, emergency services, aerospace education, and about ready to do the
programs.
About ready to do the Texas governor thing. And cadet programs.
Well, we know that you guys are around in times of emergency, and that's good to know. The more the merrier when you're trying to help people out in a situation. Well, I guess it deals with natural disasters, man-made disasters, anything along those lines where they would need to possibly get people and or supplies in and out of a particular area, and everybody's tied up doing other things. Tell us a little bit about the emergency aspect of the Civil Air Patrol. Was I close? Was I in the ballpark with what you do? Ariana, maybe you can elaborate on that a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do is we actually train every month. We have a training session, and we train cadets and senior members on how to do search and rescue in case, for whatever reason, we're called out to ask about search and rescue. Right. Missing people, downed aircraft, whatever comes up, law enforcement can call us for that. Also for supplies, just like you were saying, natural disasters, we can bring stuff to them. We can help distribute wherever we can. So yeah, really whatever emergency goes down, we train for almost every aspect that we can so that we can assist whatever local law enforcement or even state or federal law enforcement to go and help out.
Ariana and or Jason, have either one of you ever been involved in something like getting supplies to people or the search and rescue aspect that you had mentioned? And if so, tell us a little bit about it.
Well, for example, during COVID, our squadron went to St. Louis and helped with logistics warehouse operations in support of the COVID pandemic. In 2020, our squadron had 3 find missions where downed aircraft, they have a transponder that goes off. In this case, sometimes they go off without the aircraft even being down.
Right.
So we had 3 finds, which was basically an ELT went off on an aircraft. We spun up our ground teams, used our equipment to find the aircraft. In this case, it was just in the hangar and the battery went bad in one of the cases. find the aircraft, contact the owner, get the ELT turned off, close the mission.
Well, that's kind of interesting. So that was kind of in a roundabout way something that just more or less happened by accident, and at least you folks were there to make sure it wasn't something serious. Could have been a lot worse, I guess, if the actual operator of the aircraft had taken it out and something happened along the way. But obviously you offer a much needed service when we get into situations where, and who would have thunk it, as far as COVID. I mean, COVID has affected every aspect of our lives, and you folks were able to help out in a time of need there. The aerospace education, I find that rather interesting with the Civil Air Patrol. Let's kind of talk a little bit about that. Aerospace, everybody's fascinated with aerospace.
Yes, so we have internal and external programs. External programs, for example, getting with educators. Civil Air Patrol provides free STEM kits, teaching supplies for teachers that obviously either has a cyber or an aerospace spin and provide it free. Internally, various programs that we use for our cadets or for our seniors to promote the aerospace industry. And it's not just pilots. So for example, on the 20th of November, we went to Whiteman Air Force Base, took a tour, got briefings from the air traffic controllers, went up into the air traffic control tower, saw how Whiteman controls its aircraft, trains its pilots, got to tour see a B-2 on the flight line.
That's awesome.
So just to energize cadets, and honestly, as an old guy myself, I was getting pretty excited to see a B-2.
But you probably enjoy the fact that, you know, you have the experience and you've done a lot of different things, and then being able to turn around and give that knowledge and experience to younger people, the cadets that you mentioned. So that's got to be very satisfying.
It is. So for example, I got my pilot's license in 2014, had a midlife crisis and decided I wanted to do something like that. So what I found is being able to do a lot of different things and then pull it all together for cadets, and we try to have a balanced program within our squadron, so that way the cadets get a taste of a little bit of everything and then help them decide what they want to do once they become adults and graduate high school.
Ariana, what is the role that you play with the Civil Air Patrol? And tell us where you're based out of as well. We need. I know you're close by. You're not too far away.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about your participation and, again, where the Civil Air Patrol is based out of in the Lake of the Ozarks area.
Yeah, so I actually started with Civil Air Patrol, I think I officially joined in December. So I'm fairly new, but my brother got involved with it, and he's going on to get his pilot's license and whatnot. But now that I'm involved, I'm actually involved very heavily with the emergency services side. I'm going to college for emergency management, so it fits right along with my college education. So it works out perfectly. What I do is I really just help out the cadets. I train them in any way that I can, and then I also train with them. There are a lot of things that I don't know, aerospace being one of them.
Right.
And so I am able to learn right alongside them. And we are actually based out of Eldon, Missouri. So we're right there at the heart of a lot of crossroads for like Jeff City and a lot of backroads places. So.
I was going to say, do you serve a primary area, not just Eldon, but maybe surrounding counties like Camden, Morgan, Montauk, Cole counties? Is that basically your area? How do you determine, you know, who's where and how you all do that?
Well, really, we all have, there's different squadrons around the state. So whichever one's closest to you, you can go to if you want to drive further away. It really depends on your preference for squadron. As far as who needs help, they'll call any squadrons that are nearest to them, or if they just need help and the nearest squadron isn't able to, they'll call the next one. So really there isn't necessarily boundaries, but we all help out where we can, and we're all together on this. So, yeah.
Sure, it's like, what do they call that? Assisting another fire protection district if there's a fire and they need some more help. Similar to what the Civil Air Patrol would do, you guys back up other folks. Let's talk about becoming a member of the Civil Air Patrol. Now, you mentioned cadets and things along those lines. Is there an age requirement, and what do they have to do to get involved?
Yeah, so to be a cadet, you only have to be 12 years old. It's between the ages of 12 and 19 is our cadet program. And then once you're 21, you can join as a senior member. All you have to do is come to 3 meetings is really what it is, and then sign up. We have obviously an application process you go through. You get your uniform, and then you start training with us and coming to our weekly meetings. So
now you talk about emergency management. What other types of, Jason, maybe you can help us with this. other types of training that you folks are involved in?
So for the emergency services, Ariana hit a lot of it. Communications training, ground search, land navigation, map reading, that type thing. Underneath aerospace education, mainly focused on the cadets, but for the seniors as well. We use an Air Force model for rank for both seniors and cadets, and each rank there's specific skills, knowledge, and attributes that a senior or a cadet has to demonstrate. So for aerospace, during phase 1 for cadets, there are 7 modules, which covers aviation history, space vehicles, space, weather, and I'm forgetting the 4th one, but it's a self-study program. Take a test, pass the test, show the knowledge, and progress through.
Well, it sounds like a very interesting program, to say the least, and if folks are interested, and you don't have to be a pilot, and you don't necessarily have to have an interest in aviation. It sounds to me like you guys have got a lot of different things going on. Obviously, one thing we want to do is put out all the contact information so folks out there that would like to get involved can do that. So tell us how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing to do is go to civilairpatrol.com and then look up your local squadron. If you're in this area with us, it will probably be our squadron that you are closest to. And then you can call Jason. As the squadron commander, he takes a lot of those phone calls for sure.
And how do they get a hold of you, Jason?
So my number, I have to actually look it up because I don't know my number.
That's fine.
910-635-6844. Or my email address is jason.smallfield@mowgcap.org.
Jason, Ariana, thank you so much for taking some time with us. And folks, this is the Civil Air Patrol. If you'd like to get involved, give them a holler. I'm sure they'd love to have you on board, and you're going to learn a lot in the process. We've got more coming up right here on What's Burnin' on Lake TV.
Enjoying What's Burning with KB right here on Lake TV? Have questions, comments, or suggestions? Have an interesting story for KB to tell? Or maybe you want to be interviewed by KB on the show or are interested in sponsoring? All you have to do is reach out to KB at kb@mylaketv.com.
While the financial services industry for years has focused on products, pricing, and performance, or things we refer to at SRG as the how, our focus for our clients has always been around their why. And without fail, over all these years, those whys have centered around family, occupation, and recreation. Think legacy issues, retirement, or achieving a work optional lifestyle, and checking off those important things on that recreational bucket list. Our foundational approach remains a focus on the things that matter most to our clients and the things that together we can control. And where those two things overlap, that's where we live and work every day. That's SRG Financial and the Mile Marker Formula.
You want a dock that will withstand the wake from a million boats? Want a dock that's different from the usual dock? Then you want Ozark Barge and Dock in Gravois Mills. Ozark Barge and Dock, now celebrating 33 years of building the best dock on Lake of the Ozarks. And we guarantee every dock we build. So when it comes time to build your custom dock, trust the best and go with Ozark Barge and Dock, building the best dock at the lake for the last 33 years.
Looking for blinds, shades, shutters, drapes, or bedroom makeovers? On a budget? You need Budget Blinds in Laurie. Bring your ideas to us, or let our design consultants help you create the perfect look for your home. Because Budget Blinds is nationwide, our collective buying power enables us to search many major brands to bring you the blinds, shades, shutters, and drapes you want for less. Budget Blinds. Call us for a free consultation. Budget Blinds, the best in custom blinds and window coverings.
Your furry friends are more than pets, they're family. And at our veterinary, we understand that. With multiple locations, we can service your pets when and where you need it. Our team of professionals offers routine wellness, orthopedic care from broken bones to joint repair, and even emergency services. We are ready to welcome your pet to our family with medical or preventative care. With multiple convenient locations, our veterinary is the team providing exceptional care for your pet when and where you need it.
Hey Jess. Yeah, Nicole, what do you need? Did you see that new listing in Sunrise Beach?
Yeah, it was just listed 2 minutes ago.
It has 150 feet of lakefront. And a brand new kitchen. I'm headed out there after I type this email. I'm on the phone with my clients. Hey, where are you going?
I already put an offer in, cash above list, and it's looking good.
Are you kidding me?
Gosh.
Hey, back here at Ozarks Cat and Canine, KB's Furry Friends, presented by our veterinary at the lake. And of course, we're outside on a beautiful spring day, and we got a couple of friends that we featured before, and we'd like to feature them again because they're really good dogs and they could really use a good home. And we're talking, of course, about Primrose and Katniss. And Mary Meow Me Tilly is with us as well. Let's talk about these two, man. We're out here, they're just loving life and enjoying frolicking, I guess is the right word.
Yep.
Jumping in the pool, having a good time. And why can't we get these two adopted?
I don't know. I really don't know. So we featured them individually before. We just want to put them out there again because they have now been with us for 10 months. And that is pretty unheard of here. We don't like to keep dogs around that long.
They actually get too comfortable here, don't they?
Yeah, they can. Yeah, one of two things can happen. Either they just decide that this is their life and they kind of give up on hope, or some dogs, when they're in the shelter for a long period of time and they're kenneled for so long, will go a little stir crazy and you know, they kennel crazy, and then they can turn aggressive or turn, you know. Fortunately, that hasn't happened with these guys yet, but we don't want to see that happen either.
I think we were out here when we first, you know, came out onto the area here, and yeah, there were just lots of loving, and they get along real well. So it looks like maybe they would do well with another pet, possibly.
So the thing with them is they do get along with other dogs, but they can be very particular on who they want to be friends with.
I see.
So if
Just
somebody
like
had, exactly. If somebody does have another dog, you know how we always talk about doing meet and greets, we would probably want to do 2 or 3 meet and greets with somebody's dog before we would want to send one of these guys home with them, just to make sure.
Right.
You know, it would be amazing if they could go together, but you know, that's a big, something big to ask for. So that's probably not going to happen.
That vehicle better have some good suspension on it. That's a lot of beef right there.
Yeah. So when they came in, we had Katniss is the mama. She's the one that's a little bit bigger. It's getting kind of hard for me to tell who's who because Prim is bulking up. And Katniss had really put on a lot of weight over the winter. She'd really gotten quite fat, so we have her on a diet right now, and she's starting to slim down, so they're kind of meeting in the middle.
Well, if for the life of me, if I ever saw 2 dogs that looked almost identical, it's Katniss and Primrose, as they're right behind Megan, and Megan's a little concerned, but she's they're still right by Megan.
Well, I told the girls, I said, we need to put a different color collar on one of them so we can tell them apart in photos and stuff, because they'll send me photos of them and I don't know who's who because I wasn't out in the yard with them.
They're getting a little rambunctious and a little riled up, but that's okay. That's what dogs do. It's a beautiful day. Heck, we had them out here in the pool a little while ago, even though it's 50 degree weather.
Oh, they both love water.
Yeah.
So Katniss, when she came in, we aged her at about 2 years old. Primrose at about 1 year old. So that puts them at 2 and 10 months and 1 and 10 months now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you know, usually we like to try to transfer them out if they're not getting the attention, but our places that we work with are overwhelmed with their own bully breed dogs right now and not taking any more on. So we're really trying to do a push to find the right home for these guys.
What do you think it is? It seems like this particular breed sometimes, you see them in shelters, and you see quite a number of them in shelters.
Yeah, because there's a lot of pit owners out there that, for whatever reason, don't want to spay and neuter their animals. And then these guys were actually strays. They were originally found as strays, and we had seen them posted all over Facebook in the beginning. And when we first started seeing them posted, don't know which one of them the puppies belonged to, but there were puppies with them initially.
Wow. Oh.
And then when somebody was finally able to catch them, we don't know what happened to the puppies. You know, if somebody else had got them at some point, but you know, they didn't have them with them when they were caught to come in.
Maybe not good dogs with little kids around, or do you think they'd work well around little kids?
Probably not little kids. Maybe older, you know, older teenagers, you know, something like that. The main thing that we're looking for with these guys is we need somebody who is experienced with larger dogs, with bully breeds.
Don't get this one for your grandma.
They have a lot of strength to them, you know, so you're going to have to be somebody who's going to be able to handle that. And we really would prefer somebody who has a securely fenced yard.
If you're going to take one for a walk, you're going to take them both for a walk at the same time, more than likely. Cause
we do a lot of times here just because they do enjoy
Right.
they're kenneled separately,
Yeah.
and they do enjoy spending so much time together that we try to take them out together when we can, either in the yard or on
Right.
walks.
Well, the reason I say that is because you know, somebody who's got some strength to them, because these two, they get pretty wound up here, and if you don't have a little bit of oomph, you know,
Yep.
a little oomph, you know what I'm talking about here, then
little bit of counterbalance weight
exactly,
there.
exactly. We want to keep the scales right where they need to be. Primrose and Katniss, available here at Ozarks Cat and Canine. They'd love for you to come by and see them. And if you do have another dog, as Mary said, probably want to make an appointment to bring the dog by and let them check everybody out. You know how they do all the smelling and the sniffing and stuff.
Yep.
And you know what I'm talking about. Just getting to know you. Just a cold nose in the ear. That's kind of what it sometimes reminds me of there. Anyway, but we're glad to have the opportunity to show these two off. They've been here 10 months, folks. Let's find them a home. Primrose and Katniss at Ozarks Cat and Canine, KB's Furry Friends on Lake TV.
Your furry friends are more than pets, they're family. And at our veterinary, we understand that. With multiple locations, we can service your pets when and where you need it. Our team of professionals offers routine wellness, orthopedic care from broken bones to joint repair, and even emergency services. We are ready to welcome your pet to our family with medical or preventative care. With multiple convenient locations, our veterinary is the team providing exceptional care for your pet when and where you need it.
Winter, spring, summer, or fall, Lake TV's got it all. We think it's hot stuff when things cool down. We spring into action when things start warming up. Of course, summer is one big, huge shootout on Lake TV. And we fall in love all over again when autumn rolls around. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, Lake TV's got it all.
Hey, as always, want to thank everybody for being on the program, and thank you as always for watching. We do a new show every Thursday, 7 a.m., 5 p.m., 11 p.m., 7 days a week. It's What's Burnin' on Lake TV. Thanks to our sponsors, SRG Financial Advisors, Budget Blinds, Ozark Barge and Dock, our veterinary at the lake, and the official bottled water of What's Burnin'? Yeah, none other than the good folks with Culligan Lake of the Ozarks. Got a new addition to the family. Had a chance to stop in and check out and finally adopt an animal at Ozarks Cat and Canine. Will feature Lightning the Wonder Dog next week, and I hope that we can count on you to be here as well on Lake TV.